What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. I don't know if I said this in my other video today, but happy Monday. I hope everyone's holiday breaks and holiday plans are going well so far. About a week away here from Christmas Day for those of you that celebrate that, but happy holidays to everyone out there. I'll probably say it more as videos go along. But really quickly introducing this bowl game preview prediction, we got the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. We got the UCF Knights, now two Power 5 teams as UCF is a new member. Central Florida is of a Power 5 conference. They're going to play in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl from Tampa, Florida. I believe Raymond James Stadium, the host site for this one. Should be a fun one. We'll dive on into everything Yellow Jackets and Knights here in a minute. But before we do that, you guys killed it with your support in the regular season, and you've brought that support into bowl season as well. So continue to show your support. Do anything you can to interact with the channel, because anything you do to interact with the channel helps to support it. Like, comment, share simply by watching the videos or doing the big thing, hitting that red subscribe button and ringing the bell. You guys are helping support what I do here on YouTube. And as with every bowl game preview prediction, I'll say this again, sometimes it can be pretty tricky to determine, okay, who's opting out, who's entered the transfer portal. So I have a list of names as of recording this video, but if there are any more names that come out, any more notable pieces that enter the transfer portal or have opted out of this game, maybe at the last minute, Yellow Jacket fans, Knight fans, let me know in the comment section down below. Be greatly appreciative of you to do so. But with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive on into this matchup between Georgia Tech and UCF. I think this is going to be a really fun one from Tampa, Florida, and let's talk about why. So we'll dive on into the stats that both these teams have put up so far this season, and we'll start offensively for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They are led by a former Texas Tech Aggie, not Texas Tech Aggie, my fault, Texas A&M Aggie, got the nickname right, did not get the team right. Led by a former Texas A&M Aggie, it's Haynes King. He's played the quarterback position all year long for the Yellow Jackets. 2,755 yards, 26 touchdowns on around 62% completion percentage. Now, this team does not have an issue with fumbles. They are a team that you could also argue is led by their rushing attack, and we'll go through some names here in a minute in that regard. But Haynes King has been plagued by interceptions, 15 interceptions on the year. Look, he can be a really good game-managing quarterback. He can even be a game-breaking quarterback as well. Only has a long of 58 this year, but does have the ability to hit that semi-deep ball down the field to a lot of these weapons like Singleton, Rutherford, and the Georgia transfer and Dominic Blaylock as well. But again, this is an offense led by their rushing attack, right? Jamal Haynes, 156 carries, 931 yards, 7 touchdowns. Haynes King has 9 rushing touchdowns to his name. You got guys like Smith, Cooley that have also gotten carries for this Yellow Jackets team, and they average almost 200 yards per game. Pretty good on third down, and hey, with how much this team runs the ball, sacks aren't really a big issue. Yes, Haynes King has been sacked 15 times this year, but also for the most part, this is an offensive line that does a pretty good job at being able to give Haynes King time when this is a Yellow Jacket team that decides, I should say, to drop back and throw the football. Defensively, though, well, for as good as this Georgia Tech team can run the football, it's not a team that can really defend the run all that well. They allow over 225 rush yards per game, which is actually almost 30 yards more than what the offense averages itself. This is the rush defense that just isn't quite good. It's a defensive front in itself that isn't really that great. Rush defense is, there's really no other way to slice it, is just not very good. And this is a team that has a hard time at being able to generate pressure. However, this is a secondary that does have a lot of really good moments, 44 pass defended and 13 interceptions on the season, but those numbers are kind of skewed a little bit. Yes, Georgia Tech is not great at stopping the run, but notice I'm not saying they're downright terrible, because this is a Georgia Tech team that, especially down the line, everyone decided to commit to the run against Georgia Tech because, well, obviously it worked, and they just kept pounding away and pounding away and pounding away on the ground. That's how teams were able to beat this Yellow Jacket team, and it worked. They're also not a very good third down defense as well, so running the football is what beats this Georgia Tech defense. Coincidentally, it's what makes their offense work, and also coincidentally, and unfortunately for Georgia Tech, that is also what runs this Knights offense. They are led by John Rise Plumley at quarterback, 2,073 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 8 picks. You have seen Timmy McClain come in there and play as well. He has 1,008 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 2 picks this year. And I believe it'd be really hard-pressed to me if both of them did not end up playing here in this game. However, I do believe Plumlee is going to be that starter if things like that matter to you. And while, yes, there are some really good weapons in the wide receiver room, including two of them who I believe both of them will be playing here in Javon Baker and Kobe Hudson, almost 1,800 yards, or actually, I should say over 1,800 yards and 13 touchdowns receiving between the two of them. This is a team that, like I said earlier, loves to run the football, and the guy to do it in RJ Harvey is a stud. 6.1 yards per carry, 1,296 yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, and you know that Plumlee can run the ball there as well. Johnny Richardson is another really good run threat. Again, it's led by Harvey, but Plumlee and Richardson can force the issue as well. They also have a wide receiver who I believe is their third or fourth leading receiver, third leading receiver, and Xavier Townsend. They love to run on jet sweeps and end arounds and things like that. He has 15 carries so far this season, and it's a really good offense on third down. It doesn't turn the football over a ton. The offensive line, sure, definitely does need some polishing, but for the most part, does a really nice job in the run game at being able to create gaps for this run game to work through. That provides disaster here for Georgia Tech. What doesn't is the fact that UCF, even though the stats may tell you otherwise, has a very permeable run defense as well. Okay, so if you look at the overall stats, 392 yards per game, you might think, hey, that's over 400 yards. That's a pretty good defensive stat that's a pretty good defensive stat metric. And hey, they've generated 27 sacks on the year. The defensive front's pretty good. Well, when you take a look at their rush defense, it also is not great. Now, it's not as statistically as bad as Georgia Tech's, but it also is not a great rush defense. And there have been teams this year that have been able to run it pretty well here against this Knights defense. They're averaging almost 190 rush yards per game. Allowed the secondary, that is the strength of this defense. Only 34 pass defended and 11 picks, but this is a UCF secondary that is very, very good. It will be without one of its best weapons there in Corey Thornton, 27 tackles, 9 pass defended, and 3 picks. He leads the team in pass defended and is tied for the team lead in picks there. So that is a huge loss. Didn't even mention some of the losses on the defensive side here for Georgia Tech. Kyle Kennard, who had 53 tackles, 6 sacks. An edge rusher, he led the team in sacks. Nobody else on this Georgia Tech defense has more than 2.5. He will not be playing. And then Keenan Johnson as well. 29 tackles, 3 pass defended, 1 pick, and a fumble recovery. He will not be playing for the Yellow Jackets. But let's dive on into your what to watch for, your keys to the game. Some things I think you should keep an eye on while you're paying attention to this one. If you come into this game and you want a defensive showdown, you better flip to a new channel, go watch reruns or something, because this is going to be an offensive-minded football game, and Georgia Tech, especially offensively, will bring the explosiveness. Now, UCF has a lot of dynamic playmakers, but I think overall Georgia Tech may be the little bit more explosive offense. Now, that may be a little bit of a bold take to say, but Georgia Tech is going to bring the explosiveness here. They have a lot of explosive weapons. They can do it with the big play passing if Haynes King gets time to throw and has a man open. King himself is averaging 6 yards per carry, as is Haynes. He's averaging 6.2, or I should say he's also averaging 6 yards per carry. I know it's confusing. Haynes King. They also have a running back with the last name Haynes, but Haynes and King, not the same person, 2 different people. Both can force the issue running and can be explosive running the football as well. Haynes has a long of 67 yards, and King, the quarterback, 71 on the season as the longest run. But for any hopes of a Yellow Jacket win, they need to slow down this Knight offense, and in any hopes of being able to do that, you need to be firm up front. This is a defense that has to find its run defense somehow, some way. They're going to have to be able to stop UCF running the football. Now, again, this is a Knights offense that can hit the deep shot as well, and they probably have a lot better of a wide receiver room to be able to do it with Baker and Hudson. Probably those 2 guys might be better than any weapon that Georgia Tech has on their side. You got to be able to stop that rush game first and foremost, and then force a turnover or 2. That really helps Georgia Tech out a whole lot. When they force turnovers, they go and win football games. So that is something that Georgia Tech is going to have to do as well. But for UCF, I think the stats show it. I think if you watch film, it shows it. I think the run game is going to pound away. Now, I don't think it's going to pound away and have like explosive play after explosive play, but I do think they're going to be able to create their explosive plays, and I also do believe that it's just going to be the focal point of this offense, right? What did I say earlier? teams saw the weakness in Georgia Tech's defensive front and just started to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. And that's how they would beat this Yellow Jacket team. UCF is going to want to follow a very similar formula to that. They also will be able to hit their deep shots down the field as well with guys like Baker and Hudson. Both of them have at least a 75-yard touchdown on the season. But the Yellow Jackets, hey, they can run the ball too. I know I've talked about Georgia Tech, and it probably is a bigger deal for them, at least statistically, to be able to slow down what Georgia Tech does on the ground. The Yellow Jackets can run the ball too, and this is a pass game that isn't super explosive and probably isn't as good as what we see here with the UCF Knights overall. However, this is a Georgia Tech team that has a very threatening pass game because it loves to take shots downfield. Got to be careful of those. But I think this UCF defense is just a little bit better. I think I trust their offensive weapons just a little bit more. And my apologies. I realized that I had the overall record and the conference record for Georgia Tech flipped. So I did fix that. But as I was saying, I just trust the UCF weapons more. I trust their offensive weapons more. They play a better brand of defense. I think they're going to be able to slow down Georgia Tech a little bit better. And I do think now this is going to be an offensive fireworks type display. If you want defense again, go somewhere else. I do think UCF will outpower Georgia Tech in Tampa, in their home state. They will win 39-37 and get their first bowl win as a member of a Power 5 conference. But let me know what you guys think about this one in the comment section below. Hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.